Okay, so I am back using my old intro again because you guys all said you preferred it to the new one that I made, but then again you said you wanted a new one, but that's it. I'm not changing it again. I'm using my original intro. So anyway, let's go on with this video. Hey guys, Reese Survives here, and today I am going to be talking about the scariest creepypastas ever told. Now, if you don't know what a creepypasta is, basically it's a creepy story which was told, and it was honestly like quite scary at the time or whenever it was like made, and it was made into a creepypasta. I'm not quite sure where the pasta part came in because pasta isn't scary at all. I love pasta. I want carbonara or cheese now. But yeah, so we're going to be going through some of the scariest. So the first creepypasta we are going to be talking about is Candle Cove. Now, back in the early 1970s, Candle Cove was a TV show which would run during the day at some odd times, like 4 PM, which isn't really like kid hour, but it isn't really adult hour, so it's like an odd time for TV in the day, where there'd be various puppets and they'd do various different things. Seems pretty innocent, right? No. The TV show had various weird episodes, like for example, the one called the Screaming episodes, well named the Screaming episode, where basically all the characters were screaming except for a few of them, whereas one of them was crying. Now this obviously left kids terrified and having horrible nightmares, and their parents being so upset and calling the show, and they're like, hey, it's not bad, we're just doing whatever you want us to see. And it sounds really weird, but that was one of the episodes. And there was another episode called Ship Crash, where basically a ship crashed and this character called Susie was not wearing very appropriate outfits, apparently, for a kids show as well. Just remember this is a kids show we're talking about, not like, I don't even know, this is a kids show, and the ship had crashed, and I'm not sure if anything actually happened from the ship crash, but I don't think that's what people were upset about. I think it's more Susie upsetting everyone. Susie, oh Susie, you upset everyone, Susie. That damn Susie. Now the next creepypasta we're going to be talking about is probably the most known creepypasta, if not the second most known creepypasta, and that is Jeff the Killer. Now the conspiracy about Jeff the Killer was that he was a child and he was raised normally until he reached teenagers, where he decided to cut off his eyelids and, like the Joker from Batman, cut his lips up to here so he had a permanent smile on his face. He then proceeded to kill his family and go on a murderous rampage, and rumour has it he's still out there to date. Now this theory dates back all the way to something like the early 1900s, so I wouldn't get too worried about it. I say theory, creepypasta. I have had the word theory stuck in my head all day. I've just been looking at a lot of conspiracy theories. So yeah, this dates all the way back to the 1900s, where they'd first start talking about it. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about this. I mean, I don't get worried about these anyways. They're stories, literal stories. Remember that, they're stories. None of this was true. Or so we think. Now, another creepy thing about this creepypasta is the most common image of Jeff the Killer, which is the one you've just seen, or well, this one is supposedly a guy who had just had an acid attack and his face had looked horrible, so that some guy thought, ooh, let's throw some makeup, well not makeup, let's edit him to make him look like scary, and let's call him Jeff the Killer. So just think about how messed up that is, that someone would do that to someone who had just had an attack and should be in the hospital. But no, we'll take a picture, Photoshop it, and call it Jeff the Killer. The next conspiracy is one which I think is maybe the creepiest on the list, and that is the Russian sleep experiment. Now, the Russian sleep experiment is an experiment that supposedly took place well, the story came about in around World War II time, where there were lots and lots of experiments going on with the Nazis, and it basically revolved around that. So, what the creepypasta is that there are a bunch of people around like my age, or like I think it's like 13 to 18 year olds, taken and put into a room, and oxygen was taken out of the room and it was replaced with some other chemical which supposedly would not let them sleep. Now, they were left in the room for a week, and in the first 3 days they didn't really do anything. They just sort of sat there, not really doing much. Then things took a creepy turn. So what they did on the third day is they replaced it with oxygen and then left them for 2 days. So after they heard no activity for the entire 5 days, I'm sorry, not a full week, just 5 days, they decided we need to open the door now. So they opened the door and they yelled in, come on, come out, everyone get on the floor or you will not be set free. And what they replied was chilling. They replied with, "We no longer want to be set free." So, the people who were doing the experiment did the worst thing possible and closed the door again. And because there was oxygen set in there, which they hadn't been exposed to properly for the first 3 days, they ate each other alive. Don't stop breathing, because that's what will happen. So when they opened the door again on the 7th day, they walked into a room full of blood and guts and just organs hanging out everywhere. None of them alive. They'd somehow managed to eat each other, or like all of it. But yes, so that was a very disturbing creepypasta, which, sorry if you have nightmares now. My bad. I apologise if that cup annoyed you at all. Now, this is the one that when I was a bit younger scared me so much that I literally could not sleep at night. So if you're younger than me, I'd be a bit warned, because I think I was about 7 or 8 when I heard this, and I was absolutely shook with fear. This is the creepypasta about the rake. Now, surely you would have heard about the rake. It has been huge. Well, it was huge back in like 2010-ish. I mean, I know I was 6 then, but 6, 7. It's about huge in 2010-ish to like 2014. I think it died out. Now, basically, this is the creepypasta that there was a tall, thin man with black eyes, completely naked, roaming around in the forest, and that's where he stayed until he went to sleep. I'm checking the viewfinder now because I feel like it's behind me. I'm shook. He just like pops up like that. So the creepypasta is that one night the mum and dad woke up because they could feel something at the end of their bed, and they woke up, sat up, and saw the rake sat at the end of the bed, staring right into their eyes. Now, what the rake next did was jumped onto the bed, crawled right up to them, and said these words, "Sleep tight," then walked out of the room. Now, because the parents were so scared with fear, they had no chance to react whatsoever, and the rake went into the children's room of them, and the parents ran in after them, and the children's last words were, "He is the rake." And the rake then slit their necks and they bled to death. This one still, to this day, now I've started telling the story again, still creeps me out. Now, some of the questions about the rake is, why is it called the rake? And it's called the rake because of its extremely long fingernails. Now, I don't think there's actually any pictures with the fingernails, but there is this video of these people going in a forest and supposedly finding the rake, so it's quite creepy. I mean, I don't think it's real, but check it out.
That thing again. It's a thing again, look.
Well, this is still scaring me. I'm still shook. Next theory. next creepypasta, not theory. Got there in the end. Now, this next one is also quite a strange TV show, so I'll be... this one's a lot worse than Candle Cove as well, so yes, this is another TV show, and I think it's a lot more disturbing than Candle Cove, so just be warned. This is the creepypasta about Where the Bad Kids Go. Now, Where the Bad Kids Go was also a TV show shown in the late 70s, but later at night, so this is more age for people my age, and it would say weird messages like, "Bad kids steal food from the fridge late at night. Bad kids stay up late past midnight." Stuff that like all rhymed with each other. Yes, I intentionally made that so it would rhyme then. I keep seeing that and thinking it's the rake. Ooh, I almost smashed a bowl. Thank God I didn't. So yeah, just weird messages like that built into the show, put in the show. And the creepy bit is the show would always end with a slow pan getting closer and closer to a door, and you could hear screams inside from supposedly little children, and the text would come up on the screen. This is where the bad kids go, or that's where the bad kids go, something like that. Now, this show was eventually shut down after like a season of it because it was thought to be too disturbing for kids even like my age, and I don't get scared of anything, mostly. And when years later, when they went in to try and find what was behind those doors, when they opened them, what they found was horrifying. They burst open the doors, and inside there were chains hung on the wall, chains hanging from the ceiling, places where someone could have been like tied up with like bars, blood all over the floor, and the scariest part of it, the blood was fresh. So some of these creepypastas in this list may have just been creepypastas, but they're sort of related to truth as well. And no one has ever found out to this day why there were those chains there and why there was blood all over the floor. It's just one of those things we'll probably never know. Okay, so this final conspiracy theory is one which I don't think is as bad. I thought it was actually quite funny when I heard it. How long have we got? 3 minutes until my camera shuts off. Okay, great. Now this is the creepypasta about Slender Man. Now, good old Slender Man. We all know who Slender Man is. There's been video games made about him. There's been movies, TV shows, all sorts made about our good old buddy Slender Man. But very few people actually know the conspiracy theory about Slender Man, which is quite strange. So, here is the theory if you don't know. The creepypasta about Slender Man is that he is a tall, faceless man in a suit who would supposedly stand on the edge of forests, convince young children to go in with him, and then they would never be seen again. So that's the theory. What's even more disturbing is people have supposedly found him on pictures. So those are a few of the pictures where people have said, oh look, this is Slender Man in this picture, and he's supposedly even been caught on video before. I don't know if I'll be able to find any of this footage, but if I can, I'll play some of it now. But yeah, still quite creepy, even though he's been turned into kind of a meme. Whew, still quite creepy. So yes, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it and want more scary videos, then please don't forget to smash that like button, press subscribe, and click the little bell so whenever I upload. And I also just want to say I have a very special music project coming soon. So yeah, see you later guys. Bye.